At least we have no kids, so there's no point wasting any more time. Those words came out of my wife's mouth like she'd been practicing them in the mirror. Cold. Calculated. Final. She slid the divorce papers across our kitchen table with the same casualness you'd used to pass the salt, and I realized right then that I'd been married to a stranger for 3 years. My name is Bruce Chin. I'm 30 years old, and until that moment I thought I knew what rock bottom felt like. I was wrong. But let me back up. Let me tell you about the night everything started unraveling, or maybe the night I finally stopped pretending I couldn't see the threads coming loose. It was 11:47 p.m. when Lonnie walked through our front door. I know the exact time because I'd been sitting in our dark kitchen for 2 hours, watching the clock on the microwave tick forward while her dinner went cold on the table. One lamp. That's all the light I had on. Call it dramatic, but I wanted to see her face when she saw me waiting. She froze in the doorway when she spotted me. Just for a second. Then that practiced smile slid into place like a mask. Where were you? I kept my voice calm. Steady. The way you talk to someone you're afraid might bolt. Lonnie tossed her purse onto the counter with a sigh that suggested I was exhausting her. Client showing. Ran late. Why are you interrogating me, Bruce? I stood up slowly, my chair scraping against the tile. You're wearing perfume you didn't leave the house in. I watched her eyes flicker. Just for a heartbeat. Most people wouldn't have caught it, but I'd been studying my wife's micro-expressions for months now, learning the language of her lies. It's the same one. You're imagining things. She turned away, opening the fridge like this conversation was already over. Tom Ford would, I said quietly. You left this morning wearing Chanel No. 5. I know because I took a picture of your perfume bottles before you left. Her hand froze on the fridge door. She turned to face me, and for the first time in months, I saw something real cross her face. Fear. Since when do you know perfumes, Bruce? I pulled out my phone. Showed her a screenshot. Her face drained of all color, and I mean all of it. Even her lips went pale. What is that? I didn't answer. I just walked past her toward our bedroom, leaving her standing there with her mouth open and her lies hanging in the air between us. The screenshot? Hotel check-in receipts from Marcus's Instagram stories. My wife, my beautiful, ambitious, image-obsessed wife, was visible in the background of 3 different posts, her distinctive laugh captured mid-frame at a boutique hotel 40 minutes outside our town. Marcus. Her ex-boyfriend. The personal trainer with champagne taste and a beer budget who she swore she'd cut off completely 2 years ago. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in our guest bedroom. I'd moved there 3 weeks earlier, claiming my back hurt, and I thought about 3 months prior, sitting in Dr. Harrison's office while he delivered news that gutted me. 3 months before that perfume confrontation, Lonnie and I sat in Dr. Harrison's office under fluorescent lights that made everything look sickly and sterile. The doctor's face carried that practiced sympathy they must teach in medical school, the kind that's supposed to soften devastating news. I'm sorry, Mr. Chin. The test results show severe oligospermia. Natural conception is. He paused, searching for the gentlest word. Highly unlikely. I felt the floor drop out from under me. Just gone. Like standing on a trapdoor that someone yanked open without warning. I'd wanted kids since I was a kid myself. I'd imagined teaching my son to build model rockets, reading bedtime stories to my daughter, all those cliché father dreams that suddenly evaporated in that sterile office. Lonnie's hand flew to her mouth. I reached for her other hand, needing the anchor, needing to know we'd face this together. But when I looked at her face, really looked, something felt wrong. She wasn't looking at me. Her eyes were on her phone, which had just lit up with a notification on her lap. I saw it. Just for a second before she tilted the screen away. Still on for Thursday? Face blowing a kiss. My wife was getting heart eye emojis while a doctor told us we'd probably never have children. I drove us home in silence that day. Lonnie cried, or seemed to cry. I couldn't tell anymore. When we got home, she went straight to the bedroom. I heard her on the phone through the door. I know. It's just complicated right now. Give me a few more weeks. Fast forward to present day, the night after the perfume confrontation. I'm sitting alone in my car outside our house at 2 a.m. I can't go inside. Can't look at her. So I pull out a folder I've been keeping in my trunk for the past week. Inside, the original fertility test from Dr. Harrison. And beneath it, a second opinion dated 7 days ago. Different clinic. Different doctor. Different result. Healthy sperm count. No abnormalities detected. Patient is fully capable of natural conception. My hands shook reading it the first time. They still shook now. I wasn't infertile. I'd never been infertile. My phone rang, shattering the silence. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Mr. Chin? This is Dr. Martinez from LabCorp. I'm calling about your fertility test from 3 months ago. There was an administrative error with your sample processing. We mixed up your results with another patient and we need to. I hung up. I already knew. I'd known since the second opinion came back. But hearing them confirm it, hearing that word error, made something inside me crystallize into diamond-hard certainty. The question wasn't whether Lonnie had sabotaged the test. The question was whether she'd celebrated when she heard the results. Whether she'd seen my devastation as her golden ticket out. I looked at our house. Lights off. She was probably asleep, dreaming about Marcus and the life she thought she was running toward. What she didn't know was that while she'd been planning her exit, I'd been building an empire in silence. I came home from work the next evening to find Lonnie sitting at our kitchen table like she was posing for a magazine photo shoot. Makeup perfect. Hair done. She'd chosen her outfit carefully, the navy blue dress I'd once told her looked stunning. She was dressed to win a battle. Divorce papers sat spread across the table like a declaration of war. We need to talk, she said, and her voice had that rehearsed quality again. Smooth. Controlled. I set down my briefcase. Didn't say a word. Just waited. Lonnie slid the papers toward me with one manicured finger. I already signed. This isn't working, Bruce. You know it? I know it. Because of the fertility results? I kept my voice neutral. Gave her nothing. She leaned back in her chair, crossed her arms in that defensive posture she used when she'd already made up her mind. Partly. But honestly, we want different things. You're married to your work. I need someone present. Someone passionate. Someone like Marcus? The room temperature dropped 20 degrees. I watched her eyes go wide, then narrow into slits. What did you just say? I reached into my jacket. Pulled out a manila envelope I'd been carrying for 2 weeks. Slid it across the table next to her pretty divorce papers. Sign the papers, Lonnie. I won't fight you. Her hands trembled when she opened the envelope. Inside were printed screenshots, bank statements, timeline documentation. Everything my private investigator had compiled over the past 6 weeks. Hotel receipts with both their names. Credit card charges at restaurants I'd never been to. Text message records that made me sick to read. Where did you get these? Her voice cracked. Does it matter? I pulled out a pen. My hand was steady. After months of shaking with anxiety every time she came home late, my hand was finally steady. You want out? Let's do this clean. You get the furniture, your car, and we walk away. She stared at me like I'd grown a second head. You're just going to sign? Just like that. You said there's no point wasting more time. At least we have no kids. I echoed her words back to her, watched them hit like slaps. You're right, Lonnie. There's no point. I signed. Come. Controlled. Slid the papers back across the table. Lonnie stood up so fast her chair scraped. That's it? After 3 years of marriage? After 3 years of coming home to a wife who smelled like another man? I looked her dead in the eyes. Yeah, that's it. She grabbed her purse, tried to regain the upper hand. You know what, Bruce? At least we have no kids, so there's no point wasting any more time. This is better for both of us. I didn't respond. Just picked up my phone and walked to the window. The moment she stormed out, I made a call. It's done. Transfer the assets like we discussed. The voice on the other end, all of them, sir? Even all of them. Everything liquid. I want it moved by tomorrow. What Lonnie didn't know, what she couldn't have known, was that 2 years into our marriage I'd overheard her on the phone with her friend Jessica. I'd come home early from work with flowers, roses, her favorite, planning to surprise her. Once his next promotion hits, we're upgrading everything, she'd said, laughing. New house, new car. I deserve it after dating Marcus for 4 years with nothing to show for it. That's when I knew she didn't love me. She loved what I could provide. So I'd gotten smart, quiet, strategic. My job at Vertex Aerospace wasn't just a job. I was lead engineer on a classified AI navigation system for commercial spacecraft. Sounds impressive, but the real money wasn't in the salary. It was in what happened 18 months ago when our prototype caught the attention of the Harrison Aerospace Consortium. They offered me a partnership. Develop the civilian application, take 22% equity in the new company. I said yes. Told no one. Not my parents. Not my friends. Especially not Lonnie. I worked 16-hour days, but I told her I was just putting in extra time for a possible promotion. Every bonus, every stock option, Every equity payment went into accounts she didn't know existed. I lived modestly, drove the same Toyota Camry, wore the same clothes. Let her think I was comfortable middle class. By the time she handed me those divorce papers, my equity stake was worth $8.7 million. The company was going public in 6 months. My financial advisor estimated my net worth would hit $47 million post-IPO. Lonnie was walking away from generational wealth for a personal trainer with $50,000 in credit card debt. The irony was delicious. 3 days after signing the divorce papers, I moved into a hotel. Gave her 2 weeks to get her stuff out of the house. The house I'd bought before we married, the house that was solely in my name. I spent those 2 weeks planning. Not revenge. Something better. A complete transformation. First stop, luxury realtor's office. Mr. Chin, I have to say, the agent's eyes widened as she reviewed my bank statements. Most people don't buy their first investment property in cash. Especially not a $2.3 million estate. I signed the paperwork without hesitation. I prefer to avoid debt. The estate was in the hills. 6 bedrooms. Pool. Guest house. Wine cellar. Everything Lonnie had pinned on her secret Pinterest board titled Future Home that she thought I didn't know about. Next stop, medical clinic. Different doctor. Different lab. Time for final confirmation. Dr. Stevens, a fertility specialist, reviewed everything. Mr. Chin, I've looked at your original test, the second opinion, and our new results. I don't know how to tell you this, but the original diagnosis was entirely wrong. You're perfectly healthy. In fact, your sperm count is above average. I nodded. I'd already known, but hearing it confirmed again felt like vindication. My phone buzzed as I left the clinic. Facebook notification. I almost ignored it, but the preview caught my eye. Lonnie had posted a photo. Her and Marcus. Her hand on her stomach. Caption, New beginnings, 2 hearts. She was pregnant. I stared at that photo for a full minute in my car. Felt absolutely nothing. No jealousy. No regret. Just relief. She'd chosen her path. I'd chosen mine. 6 weeks after our divorce was finalized, Lonnie moved into Marcus's apartment with 2 suitcases and a carload of furniture. Marcus waited outside his building, all smiles and kisses, playing the role of devoted boyfriend. Finally free? He asked, pulling her close. Finally, Lonnie smiled. She'd convinced herself this was her happy ending. The man who made her feel alive, who wasn't boring like Bruce, who actually had passion. They walked into his apartment, and reality hit her like cold water. Mismatched furniture from college days. Protein shake bottles covering every surface. Dirty gym clothes in a pile. A mattress on the floor in the bedroom, not even a bed frame. Marcus, I thought you said the sponsorship deal was big. He shrugged, already defensive. It is, babe. But it's paid in product. Supplements, workout gear, that kind of thing. The actual cash doesn't start until next quarter. Next quarter. Always next quarter. Lonnie's phone buzzed. Bank notification. Low balance alert, $347.52 remaining. The divorce settlement had been clean. She got her car, her personal belongings, some furniture. Bruce kept the house because he'd bought it before marriage. She'd assumed her savings would last longer. She'd been wrong. 3 months passed. Lonnie, now visibly pregnant, sat in Marcus's cramped apartment. They'd had to move after he couldn't make rent, scrolling through unpaid bills on her laptop. Electric, past due. Car payment, late. Credit card, over limit. Marcus walked in, gym bag over his shoulder. Heading to my 3rd client. Should be back around 10. Marcus, the electricity bill is due tomorrow. We're already behind on the car payment. I'm working 6 days a week, Lonnie. What do you want me to do? Get a real job. The sponsorship barely covers your own supplements. His phone buzzed. He glanced at it, face changing. I gotta take this. He stepped into the hallway. Lonnie pressed her ear to the door. Yeah, I know I'm behind on child support. No, I can't do $800 a month right now. Because I have another kid on the way. Lonnie's world tilted. Child support? Another kid? When Marcus came back in, she was standing there, arms crossed over her pregnant belly. You have a child? He couldn't meet her eyes. A daughter. She's 6. It was before us, Lonnie. Way before. You told me those monthly payments were for your car. I didn't want to scare you off. Lonnie laughed, but it came out broken. Scare me off? Marcus, I'm pregnant with your 2nd child and you're $18,000 in debt to the IRS. That information had come out last week. Tax evasion from his failed supplement business 3 years ago. This wasn't the life she'd pictured. 4 months after the divorce, I attended a childhood cancer research gala. Vertex was a sponsor, and my business partner insisted I show my face at these things now that we were approaching IPO. I didn't want to go. Wasn't ready for small talk and champagne. But I put on a suit and showed up anyway. That's where I met Dr. Emma Torres. She stood near the silent auction tables, studying a donated painting with intense focus. No flashy dress. Simple black gown. Minimal makeup. She wore her dark hair pulled back, and when she caught me staring, she didn't smile flirtatiously. She just nodded politely and went back to the painting. I walked over. Thinking of bidding? Can't afford it, she said honestly. I just appreciate the artist. He's a patient's father. Painted this during his daughter's chemo treatments. You work here? At Children's Memorial? Pediatric Oncology. 10 years next month. She extended her hand. Emma Torres. Bruce Chin. Her handshake was firm. Confident. What do you do, Bruce? Aerospace engineering. Navigation systems mostly. She nodded, genuinely interested but not impressed. Didn't ask about my salary or my car or where I lived. Instead, she said, my little brother loved rockets. Wanted to be an astronaut before. She trailed off. Before what? Leukemia. He was 9. We talked for 2 hours. She told me about her patients, about hope, about her brother David who died 20 years ago but still inspired everything she did. She donated 40% of her salary to treatment funds for uninsured families. Drove a 10-year-old Honda Civic. Had never been on Instagram. She was everything Lonnie wasn't. Our first real date was at a children's hospital charity event 2 weeks later. Emma brought me to the pediatric ward, introduced me to a 7-year-old named Riley who loved space. I spent 2 hours drawing spacecraft designs with Riley, explaining how navigation systems work, how satellites communicate with Earth. Riley's eyes lit up with every detail. Emma watched from the doorway. I caught her wiping tears. Later, in the parking lot, she told me, most men run when they hear what I do for a living. The death, the sadness, the impossible hours. You ran toward it. Why would I run from someone who spends her life saving children? She kissed me then. Soft. Careful. Like I was something precious. We were engaged 8 months later. Emma never asked about my money. When I finally told her about the business, the IPO, the incoming wealth, she just squeezed my hand. I fell in love with the man who drew rocket ships with a dying child. Everything else is just bonus. Lonnie gave birth to a girl on a rainy Tuesday in March. She named her Maya. Marcus held his daughter for exactly 40 seconds before his phone rang and he stepped out into the hospital hallway. Lonnie lay in the hospital bed, exhausted, stitched up, holding a newborn who wouldn't stop crying. Through the door, she heard Marcus's voice rising. I can't keep doing this, Jennifer. I told you I'd pay when I can. No, threatening to take me back to court won't help. I have another baby now. Another baby. Like Maya was already a burden. When Marcus came back in, his face was pale. Stressed. I can't do this, Lonnie. Can't do what? Hold your daughter? This. All of it. He gestured wildly. I'm broke. I'm exhausted. I didn't sign up to be a father again. Not like this. Lonnie felt something break inside her chest. You said you loved me. You said we'd build a life together. Marcus looked at her with hollow eyes. I love the idea of you leaving Bruce. I loved not being alone. But this. He pointed at Maya, at the hospital bills stacked on the table. I'm not built for this kind of responsibility. He left that night. Sent a text 3 days later. I need space. I'll send money when I can. He never did. Lonnie's mother arrived to help, took one look at the situation, and sighed with 20 years of disappointment behind it. You left a good man for this? Lonnie didn't answer. Just stared at her phone. At Bruce's old contact, still saved as Hubby Redheart, because she'd never had the heart to change it. She deleted it. Then re-added it from memory. Then deleted it again. 2 years crawled by like decades. Lonnie moved back into her parents' house. Her father, a retired postal worker with old-school values, charged her $400 a month rent to teach responsibility. She worked 3 jobs. Retail at Target during the day. Waitressing at Applebee's 3 nights a week. DoorDash deliveries whenever her mother could watch Maya. Marcus's child support case caught up with him eventually, but he fled to Arizona. Changed his number. Disappeared like smoke. Lonnie received $0 in support. She applied for government assistance, lied to the caseworker. I don't know where the father is. Maya got sick. Recurring ear infections that wouldn't quit. $3,000 in medical bills. Lonnie's credit card maxed out at 11,000. She sold her BMW, the one thing she'd kept from her old life, and bought a 2009 Toyota Corolla with 180,000 miles. Lonnie saw Bruce's engagement announcement in the local paper while eating lunch in her car between shifts. She just delivered food for 4 hours straight, her feet aching, Maya's daycare bill looming. The headline, Aerospace Executive Bruce Chin to wed Dr. Emma Torres. Executive. Not engineer. Executive. The photo showed them at a charity gala. Bruce wore a tailored tux that probably cost more than Lonnie's car. He looked confident. Happy. Wealthy. The woman beside him, this Emma, gazed at him like he'd hung the moon. Lonnie's hand shook. She Googled him right there, greasy steering wheel under her palms. First result, Vertex Navigation Systems goes public, founding partners stand to make millions. She clicked. Read. Felt bile rise in her throat. Bruce's estimated net worth post-IPO, $65 million. She'd left a multimillionaire for a man who'd abandoned her with a baby and a mountain of debt. Lonnie threw up in the Target parking lot. Right there in her used Corolla. Threw up until there was nothing left. The wedding was announced for June. 6 months away. Lonnie told herself she wouldn't go. Told herself she'd moved on. Told herself she didn't care. She was lying. When June arrived, Lonnie drove to the venue. Left Maya with her mother. Wore her best dress, 4 years old now, tight in places it shouldn't be. Stood at the back of the waterfront ceremony like a ghost. 300 guests. String quartet. Flower arrangements that cost more than her monthly salary. Bruce stood at the altar in a custom Tom Ford tux. When Emma walked down the aisle, simple dress, radiant smile, 5 months pregnant, his eyes watered. Lonnie heard him whisper as Emma reached him, "You're everything I never knew I needed." The officiant began. Lonnie's 2-year-old squirmed in her arms. She'd had to bring Maya after all when her mother got sick. Maya dropped her sippy cup. It rolled toward the aisle. A guest picked it up, turned, saw Lonnie. Recognition flashed across the woman's face. She leaned to her husband. "Isn't that Bruce's ex-wife?" Lonnie ran. My receptionist called security the moment Lonnie walked into our building lobby. No appointment. No warning. Just desperation. I came down anyway. Saw her standing there, thinner than I remembered, wearing clothes that had seen too many wash cycles. Maya was in the car with her grandmother. I could see them through the glass doors. "Lonnie." I said no. "Please, Bruce. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking." We stepped outside into the June heat. Lonnie spoke fast, words tumbling over each other like she'd rehearsed this speech 100 times. "I was wrong. I was selfish and stupid, and I destroyed everything good in my life because I thought I deserved more, better, something else. I didn't realize what I had until it was gone. Marcus is gone. My savings are gone. I'm drowning, Bruce. And I know, God, I know, I don't deserve your help. I don't deserve your pity or your money or even this conversation. But Maya does. She's innocent in all this. She didn't ask for any of this." Her voice cracked. Real tears now, not the performative kind. "The surgery costs $12,000. I've been saving, but I'm only at 4. I've applied for grants, for assistance, for everything. But the damage is getting worse, and if we don't fix it soon she could lose her hearing permanently, and I can't let that happen because of my mistakes." I pulled out my phone. Lonnie's eyes lit up with hope, pathetic and desperate. I showed her a photo. Emma, 7 months pregnant now, laughing in our kitchen. Our ultrasound photo on the wall behind her. My hand on her belly. "This is my family now, Lonnie. This is my peace. The peace I found after you destroyed me. Bruce, please. Do you want to know what the worst part was?" My voice stayed level. "Come. Scarier that way. Not the cheating. Not even the lying. It was the fertility diagnosis." I watched her face pale. "I cried for 3 days when that doctor said I couldn't have children. 3 days, Lonnie. I grieved sons and daughters I thought I'd never meet. And you, I saw the relief in your eyes when he said it. I saw you light up like you just won the lottery. That's when I knew you never loved me. You loved what I could provide." "I'm sorry." She was sobbing now. "God, Bruce, I'm so sorry. I was awful. I was selfish. I know that now. I believe you." I put my phone away. "But sorry doesn't change the past. And I won't sacrifice my future to fix yours." I turned toward the building. "So that's it." Lonnie's voice turned sharp. Angry. "You're just going to let my daughter suffer because of what I did to you? You're going to punish an innocent child?" I stopped walking. Turned around slowly. "Your daughter? Not our daughter. Not Marcus's daughter. Your daughter. Because that's what you chose, Lonnie. You chose Marcus. You chose to leave. You chose to believe I wasn't enough. But you are enough. You're more than enough. I see that now. I was blind and stupid and wrong, but I see it now. The man you left was broken, I said quietly. Insecure. Desperate for your approval. He died the night you handed me those divorce papers. The man standing in front of you now built a life you'll never be part of. I have a wife who loves me for who I am, not what I can provide. A son on the way. A family I'm building with someone who chose me when I had nothing to prove. I took a breath. Let the words settle. You said, at least we have no kids, so there's no point wasting any more time. You were right, Lonnie. There was no point. No point wasting time on someone who never saw my worth. Lonnie collapsed to her knees right there on the sidewalk outside my building. People walking by stared. Please, Bruce. Please. I'm begging you. I walked away. Got in my car. Drove off. But I stopped at the red light 2 blocks away. Pulled out my phone. Stared at it for a long moment. Then I typed something and hit send. That night, Emma found me in our nursery. I was sitting in the rocking chair we just assembled, staring at the empty crib. You're thinking about her daughter, aren't you? Emma sat on the floor beside me. I nodded. She didn't ask to be born into Lonnie's mess. She didn't choose any of this. Emma took my hand. You know what makes you different from Lonnie? You choose kindness even when it costs you. Even when no one would blame you for walking away. That's why I love you. If I help her, Lonnie might think there's a chance. That I still care. Do you? Still care? I thought about it. Really thought. No. But I care about not becoming bitter. About not letting her choices poison who I want to be. Emma kissed my hand. Then you already know what to do. 3 days later, Lonnie received a notification on her phone. Bank deposit, $15,000. A note attached. For Maya's surgery. Not because you deserve it. Because she does. This is the last time. Don't contact me again. B. Lonnie cried. But they weren't tears of relief. They were tears of regret, of recognition, of finally understanding what she'd lost. She scheduled Maya's surgery for the following week. The procedure went perfectly. Maya's hearing was saved. Lonnie tried to send a thank you letter. I had my assistant return it unopened. 6 months later, Emma gave birth to our son. We named him David, after her brother. The one who'd loved rockets and dreamed of stars before leukemia took him. I held my son in the hospital room, Emma sleeping peacefully beside us, and felt something I'd never felt with Lonnie. Complete. Oh. The last I heard about Lonnie came from a mutual acquaintance I ran into at a coffee shop. She was still living with her parents. Still working multiple jobs. Still raising Maya alone. Marcus had resurfaced briefly, promised to help, then disappeared again when his new girlfriend got pregnant. Some people never learn. But I had. I'd learned that sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's building a life so good, so full, so rich with love that you forget the person who hurt you. You don't wish them harm. You don't wish them anything. They simply become irrelevant. Emma and I moved into the estate I'd bought during the divorce. We set up a charitable foundation for childhood cancer research in David's name, Emma's brother, not our son. We created a scholarship fund for children who'd lost parents to illness. Riley, the 7-year-old I'd drawn rockets with years ago, beat his cancer. He's 12 now. Comes to our house every Sunday for Rocket Club, where I teach him and 5 other kids in remission about aerospace engineering. My company's stock tripled after the IPO. I'm worth more money than I'll ever spend. But that's not what I think about when I fall asleep at night. I think about Emma's hand in mine. Our son's first laugh. The garden we're planting. The family dinners. The ordinary, beautiful moments that make up a life actually worth living. Lonnie wanted the fairy tale. The dramatic romance. The passionate intensity. What she never understood was that real love isn't fireworks. It's choosing the same person every single day. It's building something together, brick by brick, choice by choice. She traded a foundation for butterflies. And when the butterflies died, she had nothing left to stand on. I don't hate her anymore. I don't think about her at all most days. And when I do, it's with the kind of distant pity you'd feel for a stranger who made bad choices. Because that's what she is now. A stranger. And I'm finally, completely, beautifully free.